reading The Comedians. It's a novel by Greene, published 1966. Plays on Haiti. It's an interesting novel about the corruption in Haiti and Papa Doc. Anyway, Mr. Jones, who is one of the three comedians, is in prison. Mr. Smith, who is the other, is a presidential candidate and is very keen to get him out of prison. And the story is told by Mr. Brown. He owns a hotel. We are in the 5th chapter, and it's Roman 2. This is the second part of the book. I went reluctantly to the embassy that evening. I would have much preferred to know nothing of Martha's normal surroundings. Then, when she was not with me, she would have disappeared into a void where I could forget her. Now I knew exactly where she went when her car left the Columbus statue. I knew the hall which she passed through, with a chained book where visitors wrote their names, the drawing room that she entered next, with the deep chairs and sofas and the glitter of chandeliers, and a big photograph of General so-and-so, the relatively benevolent president who seemed to make every caller an official caller, even myself. I was glad at least that I had not seen her bedroom. When I arrived at 9:30, the ambassador was alone. I had never seen him alone before. He seemed a different man. He sat on the sofa and thumbed through Paris Match, like a man in a dentist's waiting room. I thought of sitting down silently myself and taking Jour de France, but he anticipated me with his greeting. He pressed me at once to take a drink, a cigar. Perhaps I was a lonely man. Perhaps he was a lonely man. What did he do when there were no official party and his wife was out meeting me? Martha had said that he liked me. The idea helped me to see him as a human being. He seemed tired and out of spirits. He carried his weight of flesh slowly, like a heavy load, between the drink table and the sofa. He said, "My wife's upstairs reading to my boy. She'll be down presently. She told me you might call." I hesitated to come. "You must be glad of an evening, sometimes to yourselves." "I'm always glad to see my friends," he said, and lapsed into silence. I wondered whether he suspected our relationship or whether he knew. "I was sorry to hear that your boy had caught mumps." "Yes, it is still at the painful stage. It's terrible, isn't it, to watch a child suffering?" "I suppose so. I never had a child." "Ah." I looked at the portrait of the general. I felt that at least I should have been here on a cultural mission. He wore a row of medals and he had his hand on his sword hilt. "How did you find New York?" the ambassador asked. "Much as usual. I would like to see New York. I only know the airport. Perhaps one day you will be posted to Washington." It was an ill-considered compliment. There was little chance of such a posting if at his age, which I judged to be near 50, he had stuck so long in Port-au-Prince. "Oh no," he said seriously, "I can never go there. You see, my wife is German." "I know that, but surely now," he said as though it were a natural occurrence in our kind of world. "Her father was hanged in the American zone during the occupation." "I see." "Her mother brought her to South America. They had relations. She was an only child, of course." "But she knows?" "Oh yes, she knows. There's no secret about it. She remembers him with tenderness, but the authorities had good reason." I wondered whether the world would ever again sail with such serenity through space as it seemed to do 100 years ago. Then the Victorians kept skeletons in cupboards, but who cares about a mere skeleton now? Haiti was not an exception in the sane world. It was a small slice of every day taken at random. Baron Samedi walked in all our graveyards. I remembered the hanged man, the tarot pack. It must feel a little odd, I thought, to have a son son called Angel, whose grandfather had been hanged, and then I wondered how I might feel. We were never very careful about taking precautions. It could easily happen that my child, a grandchild too of a tarot card. After all, the children are innocent, he said. Martin Bormann's son is a priest now in the Congo. But why, I wondered, tell me this fact about Martha? Sooner or later, one always feels the need of a weapon against a mistress. He had slipped a knife up to my sleeve to use against his wife when the moment of anger came. The manservant opened the door and ushered in another visitor. I didn't catch the name, but as he padded across the carpet, I recognized the Syrian from whom a year ago we had rented a room. He gave me a smile of complicity and said, "Of course I know Mr. Brown well. I did not know you had returned. And how did you find New York?" "Any news in town, Hamid?" the ambassador asked. "The Venezuelan embassy has another refugee. They will all be coming to me one day, I suppose," the ambassador said. "But misery likes company. A terrible thing happened this morning, Excellency. They stopped Dr. Philippot's funeral and stole the coffin. I heard rumors. I didn't believe them." "They are true enough," I said. "I was there. I saw the whole—" "Monsieur Henri Philippot," the manservant announced, and a young man advanced towards us through the silence with a slight polio limp. I recognized him. He was the nephew of the ex-minister, and I had met him once before, in happier days, one of a little group of writers and artists who used to gather at the Trianon. I remembered him reading aloud some poems of his own, well-phrased, melodious, a little decadent and bien joué, with echoes of Bodley. How far away those times seemed now. And that was left to recall, all that was left to recall them were the rum punches of Joseph. "Your first refugee, Excellency," Hamid said. "I was half expecting you, Monsieur Philippot." "Oh no," the young man said. "Not that, not yet. I understand when you claim asylum, you have to make a promise not to indulge in political action." "What political action are you proposing to take?" I asked. "I'm melting down some old family silver." "I don't understand," the ambassador said. "Have one of my cigars, Henri. They are real Havana. My dear and beautiful aunt talks much about a silver bullet, but one bullet might go astray. I think we need quite a number of them. Besides, we have to deal with 3 devils, not one. Papa Doc, the head of the Tom-Tom Macoute, and the colonel of the palace guard." "It's a good thing," the ambassador said, "that they bought arms and not microphones with American aid." Where were you this morning?" I asked. "I arrived from Cape Haitian too late for the funeral. Perhaps it was a lucky thing. I was stopped at every barrier on the road. I think they thought my Land Rover was the first tank of an invading army." "How is everything up there?" "Only too quiet. The place swarms with a Tonton Macoute. Judging by the sunglasses, you might be in Beverly Hills." Martha came in while he spoke, and I was angry when she looked first at him, though I knew it was prudent to ignore me. She greeted him a shade too warmly, it seemed to me. "Henri," she said, "I'm so glad you are here. I was afraid for you. Stay with us for a few days." "I must stay with my aunt, Martha." "Bring her too, and the child." The time hasn't come for that." "Don't leave it too late." She turned to me with a pretty meaningless smile, which she kept in store for second secretaries, and said, "We are a third-rate embassy, aren't we? Until we have a few refugees of our own." "How's your boy?" I asked. I meant the question to be as meaningless as her smile. "The pain is better now. He wants very much to see you." "Why should he want that?" He always likes to see our friends, otherwise he feels left out. Henri Philippot said, if only we had white mercenaries at Chombe. We Haitians haven't fought for 40 years except with knives and broken bottles. We need a few men of guerrilla experience. We have mountains just as high as those in Cuba. But not the forests, I said, to hide in. Your peasants have destroyed those. We held out a long time against the American Marines, all the same, he added bitterly. I say we, but I belong to a later generation. In my generation we have learned to paint. You know, they buy Benoit pictures now for the Museum of Modern Art. Of course, they cost far less than a European primitive. Our novelists are published in Paris, and now they live there too. And your poems? They were quite melodious, weren't they? But they sang the doctor into power. All our negatives make that one great black positive. I even wrote it for him. Do you know that I haven't an idea how to use a Bren? Do you know how to use a Bren? It's an easy weapon. You could learn in 5 minutes. Then teach me. First, we would need a Bren. Teach me with diagrams and empty matchboxes, and perhaps one day I'll find the Bren. I know someone better equipped than I am as a teacher. But he's in prison at the moment. I told him about Major Jones. So they beat him up? He asked with satisfaction. Yes, that's good. White men react badly to a beating up. He seemed to take it very easily. I almost had the impression he was used to it. You think he has some real experience? He told me he had fought in Burma, but I've only got his word for that. And you don't believe it? There's something about him I don't like, not altogether. I was reminded when I talked to him of a time when I was young and I persuaded a Londoner restaurant to take me on because I could talk French. I said I'd be a waiter at Fouquet's. I was expecting all the time that someone would call my bluff, but no one did. I made a quick sale of myself, like a reject with the price label stuck over the floor. And again, not so long ago, I sold myself just as successfully as an art expert. No one caught my bluff then either. I wonder sometimes whether Jones isn't playing the same game. I remember looking at him one night on the boat from America. It was after the ship's concert, and wondering, are you and I both comedians? They can say that of most of us. Wasn't I a comedian with my verses smelling of Le Fleur de Mal, published on a handmade paper at my own expense? I posted them to the leading French reviews. That was a mistake. My bluff was called. I never read a single criticism, except by Petit Pierre. The same money would have bought me a Bren, perhaps. It was a magic word to him now, Bren. I make a break here and continue this soon.